Hi everyone, Chrissy here, and welcome to Catherine Pooler's Storybook Collection Release Video Hop. So today a bunch of us are hopping and we're kind of showcasing some of the new products available. So I just want to show you this card that I made quickly. So first I used an older set called Circles, and I just die cut a plain old circle out of some Catherine Pooler white cardstock. And then next, I use my stamping positioner tool here to stamp a bunch of images at once. So I am using the Fluttering Friends stamp set, and there's a bunch of different really cute images on this set. So I'm just using the Midnight ink and inking it all up at once. I like to do a lot of stamping and die cutting all at the same time when I can. And then next I decided that I was going to watercolor. So I should mention that I stamped these particular images on watercolor cardstock. Everything else I am using the Catherine Pooler cardstock. So I grabbed a couple different ink pads and I used a water brush. So if you do not have a water brush, that's okay. You can use a regular paintbrush with some water. And if you don't have a glass mat like I'm using, that's okay too. You can stamp on any type of slick surface. So if you have an acrylic block that you use for stamping, or even like that acetate that's on the back of stamp sets when you get them, you can stamp on that, even a laminated sheet. There's all different options out there, so go ahead and stamp it and then use your Catherine Pooler inks as watercolors. That is actually one of my favorite techniques to do, and I do it all the time. So I'm just going to run down here and I'm going to list all of these different inks that I'm using. Fiesta Blue, Something Borrowed, and Stone Blue I used on the bird. I mentioned before I stamped everything in Midnight. For the acorns, I'm using Icing on the Cake and Sandcastle. And then for those leaves, I'm using Sage and Eucalyptus. I think that's everything. So you can see it's a pretty quick process. I don't go into a bunch of detail when I am watercoloring, just because it is supposed to be kind of like loose and flowy. If you wanted to go back later and add more detail in, maybe using a little bit less water, you probably could. I kind of overwater. There's a few times off camera actually that I had to hit this with the heat gun. Just because I had a little too much water on there, but you can see you can definitely come back, and I am not using a ton of colors here either, so I'm pretty much using 2 to 3 colors for each little section. So it's really simple to do. So I use the coordinating dies. You can see there I die cut them out. Those coordinate perfectly with that Fluttering Friends stamp set. And now for the background, I am using the Lemongrass ink. So I'm just, you can see, literally tapping it. It's so nice and juicy. I love Catherine Pooler inks for that reason. Not only are they juicy that you get awesome coverage, but they also react with water, like I just showed you with watercolors, and you could like flick water on there and do all kinds of things and get really cool backgrounds. So I just wanted that lemongrass color in the window, so I didn't do it over the whole card. There was no reason to do it. I just wanted to show through there what I had die cut previously. And then I stamped that happy birthday sentiment also in the Midnight ink. So keep in mind when you're using Midnight, that one is so juicy that really you just want to kind of gently love tap it. If you push down too hard, you're going to get way more ink than what you want. And if it does happen to stain your stamps, don't worry. It does not affect anything whatsoever in the future. That just gives you that ink, because it's so thick, gives you awesome coverage, so you don't ever have to worry about. I almost never have to double ink anything up when I'm using my Midnight ink. So then the last thing that all I had to do here was I kind of put everything together. I just kind of placed everything on my card. I knew I was going to have some of those leaves and acorns and stuff like that. So some of it I used some 3D foam, some of it I just stuck on there using a tape runner. Just kind of assembled everything the way that I thought it would look nice. I also did add a little bit of glimmer onto the acorns and the bird using a clear sparkle marker. So keep that in mind, that you can also add things over your inks after you're done watercoloring or inking or whatever you want to do. So then to finish, the last final piece here on my card, I am going to throw a couple sequins on there. So this is from the Miami sequin set. Oh, here I'm crystal clear markering here, sparkle marker. But the Miami had some orange in there, so it worked out perfectly for this card, kind of like the different colors. So here, as I mentioned, I added some sparkle to the bird and to the acorns, and it did not affect my inking or watercoloring at all. Thanks so much for stopping by today. Make sure you hop on to the next person, and good luck in our video hop. Have a great day.